Alright, hello everyone. Today we're going to be reading the Q Chunking paper, which I have started to read, but have not finished. Um, Before we do that real quick, some reflections, because I noticed that, also I will start this. I guess a few things. Number one, I got this new note pin, Cloud Pin. It's called a note pin, but it essentially records everything. And so I'm going to try this out and see how well it summarizes what I'm talking about. So that is the first announcement. The second announcement is sort of my reflection on, it's already 9 p.m. and I have to go into work in like 30 minutes. So what's happening? Because I told myself to wake up at 7, right? So number one thing in life is that you always have to reflect, right? The thing is, humans are very prone to falling into our habits, and it's very hard to change. And so, there's what you want, and there's what you do on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of times, there's a lot of divergence between what you want and what you say you want, right? So, for example, you say you want to grind, and yet you spend your time not grinding. Which is better than not saying than not saying anything, I guess, right? But how do you go between noticing the divergence between what you want and what you do? It is through this reflection. So I am reflecting on why I am not able to wake up at very early, go running, and record these videos before I get into work. Right? And to be frank, I didn't have an answer because I felt like I was doing the right things. And this is where like having fitness trackers are very helpful. So I'm looking at my fitness tracker, which by the way, okay, it's a Whoop, and so I streamed on, or I was in a really good habit on Monday. That's when I ran. I woke up, I slept at the same time, 11:45, and I woke up at 7:15, and then I went for a run, came back from the run, and then did a live stream, right? So that was good. Like 7 to 8, you run, and then 8 to 9 or 8 to 9:30, you do the live stream and record, right? I think I'm gonna need to wake up even earlier so I can work on my videos. But anyways, for now, like at least 2 hours before your work, so you can get these, or 2.5 hours before your work, so you can get these things done. It's really great. But on Tuesday, right, I was tired from running, and I naturally slept until 9. Now look at my sleep time. I slept at 11:50, so it's not like I'm sleeping terribly late. But I woke up at 9, and then on Wednesday I woke up at 9:30, and on Thursday I woke up on I woke up at 8, and I slept at 11, which is not super early, but it's not also super late. And on Thursday, what happened was I had a golf lesson, and then on Friday, which is today, today is an exception where I slept really late and I fucked up. So I'm gonna really punch myself in the face for that. Like I actually slept at 1:55. Like I went to bed at 1, and the reason I went into bed at 1 was because last night I was having a company dinner, and I don't know, there was like a lot of thoughts going through my mind, and especially got particularly excited about my YouTube channel again because I realized this is like the thing that's really me, and like when people talk about me, they often bring up my YouTube channel. So it's like part of my identity. And I just like felt like I needed to put more videos out there. So there's more, things to talk about, as opposed to just like living on my legacy. Like you need to actively create a legacy. You can't just like fall off. Right? And so I don't know, there were like lots of thoughts racing through my mind, and so I was like editing the videos, and I'm looking into AI tools for editing. And then I stepped on 1:55. And so, looking at this pattern this week, what I'm realizing is if I want to actually sleep, or like wake up at 7, right? And run, right? So, run is going to give you an extra strain of like you need to sleep like 1 or 2 more hours, right? Like 2 more hours. Because if you look, like after I run on Monday, on Tuesday, I had to sleep from 12 to 9, right? So, if you actually want to wake up at 7, or 6, you actually need to sleep at 10. which means, and I've set this up on my phone, so it should be correct. Like, I correctly assessed that I need to sleep at 10, and I sleep at 10:15. But what ends up happening is I always overextend it to like 11. Like I'm on my bed and like watching some things, watching videos, and then sleeping at 11. Right, falling asleep at 11. So really, you need, number one, to convince yourself that you are tired enough at 10. You need to make sure sleeping at 10 is your number one priority. And you need to realize, Stephen, and be mindful, like, bake this into your consciousness. If I sleep at 11, it will be too late because I will need 9 hours of sleep, which means I'll wake up at 8, which means I will not be able to both run and make my videos. And if you only make your videos, you will feel terrible about yourself because you have not exercised. The only other way to exercise is to go play badminton, which you don't have a choice to do but on Tuesday and maybe Thursday. But you told yourself that you wanted to run on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. And if you want to run on Monday... Oh, wow. Was that too intense? Okay. And if you want to run on Thursday, Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, then you must make sure that you get in bed. Well, okay. Like, why did I not run on Thursdays? Because I have my golf course, right? And you had your strain that you've accumulated. Essentially, you'll always need 9 hours of sleep, I guess, is the way to put it. Because if you run on Monday, right, Monday night you sleep at 10, you'll need to sleep at 10 on Monday night. On Tuesday night, you're exercising, so you can't. There's badminton on Tuesday, but I finished at 10:30, so I sleep at 11. So Wednesday, you cannot run for sure. But then you need to get back into this habit of sleeping at 10 because you have all this sleep that you accumulated. So that Thursday, you can run in the morning. Alright, so it's very clear that you must sleep at 10 if you want to go out there and achieve the things you need without sacrificing sleep. Because sleep is the most important thing. Without sleep, it's very hard to be functional. It's very hard to learn fast. It's very hard to stay fit. Because sleep helps you, I guess, gain back the willpower, right? I don't know where I read that from. Sleep and the willpower. Sleep deprivation significantly impacting one's ability to exercise self-control. Without sleep, you have no self-control. Without self-control, you cannot do anything. So today, I only fucking slept 5 hours. Or like 6 hours. Right? Without sleep, you have no willpower. You have no... So that's why sleep is so freaking important. And I need to reinforce this by saying this to myself. And one more thing. The third thing is I'm noticing that I'm not very conscious when I'm learning. Like, how do we become mindful to do mindful learning? And I'm gonna write a note on this. Was oftentimes I'm learning but not doing it mindfully. My brain just dumps away everything that I learned. Like a little later, and I was like, what? I did a live stream, and all of a sudden was, okay, what did you learn / read today? And I forgot. Like, the way you get more mindful learning is by synthesizing information yourself. If you consolidate the information, take inspiration from Robo Papers. Engage and act. Not sure what this is about. Okay. How's this baked into your mind? What are you going to make your number one priority? You're going to make sleep your number one priority. Why is making... What does that mean? That means that you will be sleeping at 10. By sleeping at 10, what does that mean? That means that you will get into your bed by 10. That means that you will shut off your phone. That means you'll convince yourself that... How do I convince myself that I need to put away? Because I will not convince myself. Right? Because you want to build a good habit. Because the Steven at night will rationalize that, okay, if I sleep at 11, it's fine. I can just sleep at 11. Like, 10 is so early. Like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to sleep? Like, my day is already over at 10? You know? So that's what he thinks. And it's like, yesterday it was like, oh my god, I have this passion to, like, keep going at 10. But you could have just slept. Right? Some things you want to get things done within a single day. It's frustrating. Is this still recording? Nice. Okay, it is. Make sleep your number one priority. You got it? Dude, this is... I need to sleep at 9 to get... Yeah, I think like 6 is actually like when I... Well, the thing is, if you wake up at 6 and you go running and then you do things and then you're gonna get tired and then you take a nap. I think that's actually fine. Most important thing is to build routine. Okay, alright, cue chunking. Slow Q learning. I see. Okay. I Oh. It's zero. Huh. They do update the policy? Okay. Alright, now Steven, you've read this paper, and I need you to summarize it, which is going to require quite a bit of brain power. Dude, my brain's fried, Ben. Oh. All right, so this paper introduces Q chunking, which is essentially in Q learning, right? We learn the Q values but usually we work with a single action. But here we take an action chunk and we estimate the Q value. The way the algorithm works for Q chunking is extremely simple. What they're going to do is first train on an offline data set. Right? So they are going to do D sample. D is an offline prior data set, and these should be trained on the offline data set. That's the offline part. And then I don't know why they don't mention this, but in the online part, you're going to step to the environment, execute a full action chunk, add that to the replay buffer, and if T, they're going to take the optimal policy by sampling multiple trajectories. Right, so the first time it'll be an action chunk, right? Sample an action chunk. Sample n actions from our policy, so do multi-trajectory sampling, and then take the best action scored from this critic, right? And then you're going to execute aquad, add it to your replay buffer, and it seems like So if you notice, because it's an action chunk, this is like a interesting implementation detail, and we can look at their GitHub. If you notice in their main.py, this is where the Q chunking logic is. What they will do is they will set up this logging offline URL. All right, what they'll do is, so you can collapse this down. So they do offline URL, and this is online URL, right? So the first is gather some replay buffer, train your policy from scratch, right? So where is this training done? This is making the data set. You get the data set, and then agent is your policy and your critic, and that will update it, right? And then you do evaluate with this agent in this environment. And then in the online RL part, so this all makes sense. The online RL part is where it's interesting, and my question was, how do you update your replay buffer? Like, do you only update it once, or do you update it multiple times? And how does the action chunk look? Right? So if you look carefully here, online RL, right? If save all online, whatever it is, RoboMix, transition, if done. Where's the logic here? So they step here. All right, so if action, they're gonna do sample actions. If like your action queue is empty, you'll sample actions. Else you'll just use the latest action, step to this action. If you save all online states, no, we're not saving all online states. You log the info, adjust reward, transition equals observations, action. So see, your replay buffer should contain an action chunk. A transition. See, like your replay buffer, does it contain action chunks or it contains actions? Because it seems to me like it only contains actions. init buffer dash shape. I'll need to do a breakpoint to look into this code. But at least from the metadata from the paper, right? It looks like, and the okay, I guess they do jointly update the policy. So the policy also gets updated because when you do agent.update, you will update both the policy and the queue. So there's a few things. Okay, so you step to the environment using your only infer like every h times, and every time you act with it, you will update your replay buffer, and somehow you will, yeah, I see AST star. See, like, isn't your like, I don't get that. Q, isn't this parameterized? Q theta is T plus H. Isn't bolded A a vector at time T? I'm confused on this notation. What is an action chunk? Upper bound of the KL loss, huh? So you sound. The loss is just STAT, not an action chunk, right? AIT. Like it seems like this loss is not on the action chunk. Yeah, I need to go to work and I will continue looking at this and hopefully I can give some updates tomorrow. If I wake, which I need to wake up at 10 to be able to do this. Sorry, sleep at 10 so I can wake up at 6 or 7. Well, I need to catch up my sleep today and so it's recommending me 9. I need to sleep at 10. But I have, then I cannot go to SF. Okay. Alright. I'll see you later. Thank you.